Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a happy witch. I think she's super cute. Lots of hair, super adorable hat, little brim, little hands with little cuffs on them, and then her little wardrobe has a little skirt, and her little tights underneath are awesome. I think she's super cute. I did make a little broom for her too, just for fun, but I think she's adorable. This is going to take a while. I don't even have to guess at the end, but it's band heavy as well. Band wise, for the black, there is 434 total black bands. The hair color and all the bands there are 186. The little belt here is 24. All the face and the hands are 134. And then in the legs there's 24 green, 24 purple. So I mean, she is definitely band heavy. The broom I just kind of put together, but it's 28 of the brown, and then there's probably 17 or so of the ends of the broom. So I'll show you how to make everything. Like I said, this will take a while. There are parts that we need to make ahead of time, so it's just easier. So it's going to be even longer when the time that's on the tutorial, it's actually going to be a little bit longer because of the things you make ahead of time by yourself after I show you. So she's so cute. So I'll put her over here. So for making things ahead of time, we can start by making the face. I'm using the 9mm pony beads, which are the normal size pony beads. If you don't have pony beads, you can use wrapped bands. It's 2 wrapped bands, or 2 bands, whatever color you want the eye to be, on the hook, wrapped around once into the figure 8. Then you grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 bands that are the color of your face. Like that. So you want either 2 wrapped band eye bands, or you'll have the beads, and I'll put the bands through those later when we get to that part of the tutorial. So the eyes, and then cheeks are, it's just whatever color you want the cheek to be, 1 band on the hook, wrapped around to the figure 8. Grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 bands that are the color of your face. So that's the cheeks. And then we have ears, which this is what they are when they're finished. So you'll want the color for your face, ear area, and then you want a band that is going to be the color of your hair as well. So starting out, we're going to double the bands and chain 5. So starting right here, going down 1 band, double it, grab both, double it again, then take a band, double it, pull through, both ends back on, kind of center it. So you have cap band and then a doubled band. Now we want to pull through 3 more doubled bands. Two and 3. So a total of cap band plus 4 bands pulled through. Then take 2 bands and just pull them straight through the bottom like that. And now we have the cap band, and then you have that next little spot down. I'm going to put my hook through there like that. And take another band, double it, pull through, both ends back on the hook like that. And now this gets a transition band through it here, which is just 2 bands put together, so you have half and half colors. So you can either make this band on your fingers, which is just the 2 bands, 1 for the hair, 1 for the face, put them on top of each other, and you're kind of folding them around each other. And then you have a half and half band. I'll show you how to make it on the loom too if that doesn't make any sense. But I have 1 ear. If I kind of think about it for my doll here, I have the green portion, which is on the face, on one side up front, and then I have the orange, which is going to be her hair in the back. So this is going to be her left ear, and that means this will be her right ear. So I'm going to pull through the transition band so that the orange comes through on the back side. And it's not a huge deal if you like get these goofed up, because you can just adjust them, rotate them as they're in there. Or when you get them on the loom, once we put this on the loom, then you can just pull it through and adjust it so that they're opposites. So my ears are like this. So you need to make 2 ears and have those ready to go. Now for the transition band, it's just the 2 bands. If you need to make it on the loom, just the 2 bands, the colors that you need. Put them on the loom in any order. Then you just go through the top band, grab the bottom band, pull it back towards itself, and then in that little space right there, that little triangle-y space, grab the other band and pull it back towards itself, and that is a transition band that way as well. So if you need to make it either way. But 2 ears. Put all my parts over here. And then we have the hair, which will probably be the most time consuming. It is just single chained bunches. There are in total, let me check here, make sure. In total there are 15 of them. So I would find another hook, a pencil, something else to store these on, just so that they're done and out of the way. I have 14 made, so I'm going to make one more. But it's just a, whatever color your hair is, on the hook, double it again, and then you pull through 10 more, or 9 more bands. Pull through everything, back on, and then you just single chain up. So I need 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's just basically your doubled cap band with 9 more single chains pulled through. I'll put that over here. And actually, the first time I made her, I had double this amount of hair. And I actually love how it looks, but it was so band heavy. So if you want to double the hair, you totally can. I thought it was really awesome that way, but super band heavy. So I just went with the single ones. So 15 of these is what you'll need. And then we have the hands that look like this when they're finished. So it is, first we make the fingers, and then kind of the little wrist area, and then we pull through some bands for connecting it to the loom later. So the fingers are 1 band, double into the figure 8, double it again, and then pull through 2 more doubled bands. So doubled, pull through. It's 1. 2. So I have a cap band and 2 more. Now I need to make 2 more just like that. So doubled cap band. Pull through 2 more bands. And I actually made her fingers a little shorter the first time, and then I'm like, but they're just too stubby. So then I made them again a little longer. And I actually kind of like that idea, because then I can take bands and wrap them around her little fingers for like little rings. I think that'd be cool. So I'm working on my 3rd finger. Cap band plus 2 more double bands pulled through. So 3 fingers. And then you'll want to take 2 bands, double them, and then pull all your fingers through. or pull it through all your fingers. Both ends back on. Center it again. Pull through 2 more doubled bands. It's 2 bands doubled. Pull through like that. And now we want to pull through 6 black bands, or whatever color you're going to have her outfit. 4, 5, 6. You just pull them straight through. Make sure you center it well. So like that. Hand. So you need 2 hands. And then, once you have all of that stuff made, we also, I guess we make the nose too. Nose, band color of the face, double it again, and pull through 1 double band. And then 2 bands just straight through. Like that. So that's our nose. So now, once you have all of that put together, and then come back and we'll start with the hat and work our way down. Do a lot of kind of different things to make this, so I think you'll be able to follow just well. Very well. And then we'll make the arms once we get to that area, because we use a lot of the loom and come back and forth. There's room to store them on a loom at the beginning. So once you get those made, then we can come back. Then you have the loom, you have the wrong end towards you. So now when we do the brim, we're going to start out we do the brim of the hat and then we kind of connect all together. So when we start out, we're going to do it kind of large to start with. So I'm going to actually start right here across the bottom. The brim is single banded, so it's 1 band on the loom. Cross it, and then we're going to go up 11. 1, 2, 3, 5. Which is to the end of the loom. So across the bottom and then up towards the end of the loom. Apparently I'm not zoomed in enough. I apologize for that. I'm zoomed in too far. And then just complete it with the X's all the way back down towards the beginning. So like that, X row all the way around. Now we're just going to do a row right on top of that. Still single banded, just put them on normally. I'm still definitely sick, which is no fun. And hubby got called out of town on a business trip. He left on Wednesday, and he won't be back till Sunday. So it's been a long week. So like that. And now when we flip, we're going to flip from the inside to the outside. So most of this all the way around is pretty easy to flip. It's just grabbing the bottom bands and flipping them out over the top of the pin. kitty cat is up here again. And then for the bottom pins down here, these are the ones that I think that are kind of the toughest to do. But if you push back the top band and then you put your hook in above the two bands that you want to flip, bring it around to the back of the pin, and then I've got those two bands on my hook. It's not so bad at the beginning, but once there gets to be more piled up on the outside, it kind of gets to be a lot right there. But if you push back those top bands, put your hook in above those two bands that you want to come up and flip, bring your hook around the back, and then you've got them to flip out. Alright, so it all the way around. I just want to push that down, and you're going to do another row right on top of that the same way. Still single banded. That's not really a good place for your kitty cat. Hey kitty, let's not play with that. So like that, second row is on top. Again, flip towards the outside, just those two bottom bands. Just playing with my light cord. She's so noisy. Alright, so we went all the way around. You want to push everything down. And now we're going to reduce this down. And how we're going to do that is starting on this bottom right one right here. I'm going to put my hook in there, grab those two bands, pull them up, and then for this one I have to kind of slide over all that stuff that we flipped over. Just slide it over towards the inside, and then the bands that are on my hook are going to come up to the next pin up. Then we'll skip to the next one. This one I'll pick up those two bands, bring them up to the next pin above. And we're just going to do that all the way around. So the next two. Next two. Next two. And then again, when I get up to this corner up here, I'm going to pick up the two bands, slide over what's been flipped towards the outside, and then bring them down and put them on to that next pin down. Okay, now you're messing up all my bands. You have to go. And here. Alright, so now you should be on 6 pins on each side, 12 pins total. So we're going to do a row all the way around. It's still single banded. It's just long stretches now between them. Like that. So it's the same thing when we flip, but we're going to be flipping all 4 of the bottom bands. So the 2 bands from the reducing that we have will go over, and then the 2 bands from the row will go over. And you do that all the way around. And as you go by, you can flip off these little bands that are around the pins. Alright, so now every pin should still have 2 bands on it all the way around. And we want to move these closer. So if we just kind of think of, like, we're going to move the 3rd one up as I turn my loom here. Turn my loom. Move the 3rd one up 1. Then I'll go down and grab this one. It'll be moving it up 2. And then the corner here, I'm going to make sure to get my hook all the way in there and then pull it up, and then I just slide off all this outside stuff. Just don't lose it off your hook. Slide all that up, and then that goes on the next pin down. So now I have 4 in a row right here. Now we'll kind of bring in some of the other side. So if I start right here, right across from where I have it kind of angled here, lift these up, pull them up a pin, and then the same thing, grab this corner, make sure you get your hook good into those bands, and then pull up the brim area off the outside, and then the 2 bands will go onto the pin. And then we'll bring the other end down too. And bring these 2 down. When I'm all done and they're all close together, it'll probably look a little bit or easier to understand what we moved them all down, but ooh, almost lost my band. There. So 6 pins, the brim is kind of pulled around the outside of this pin right here, but otherwise they're right next to each other. So we're going to do another row all the way around. with single bands. It is a cross, don't go right here on the end. Like that. And then again, flip towards the outside, just 2 bottom bands this time. Now push all of that down as far as you can go. Like that. So all we want to do is take 2 bands, put them on your hook, double them, and then take all of them, double them again, then pull through 4 bands. Straight through. Like that. And then I'm just going to put them on the 3rd pin up across from each other. Like that. So there are 4 bands pulled through. Then we want to take another 4 bands and we're going to put them right on top of what we just did. There's a lot of bands there, but it's not too bad. And we want to flip over the bottom 4 bands over the 4 bands we just put on over the top. This should slide freely in the middle if you have it right. Then you want to go ahead and flip this up so that our doubled cap band is up. Whoa. And so our doubled cap band is on the top, like that. And then what you want to do is just grab 2 bands from each side, doesn't really matter what 2 bands, and just pull them up a pin. Like that. So now we're on 4 pins and it's 2 bands on each pin. Now we're going to do 2 rows all the way around on our little 4 pin. We're ignoring the brim part for now. So this goes back to being double banded. Like that. So it's the first row, and we'll be flipping over 2 bands on all the pins this row. Don't catch the bottom bands that are part of the brim as you're flipping. Did I say fripping or flipping? I hope I said. I don't know. So that was our first row. Do our second row. I was a very tired lady because there's definitely a lot that my hubby does to help so that I can film and create all of these things, and without him here it's definitely more difficult. So there's our second row, flip the bottom 4. Like that. Now we want to increase all of the 4 pins. So starting over here on the bottom, I have to pick up all 4 bands, pull them down a pin, then grab the top 2, bring them back up. And then up here on this top pin, I can grab the top 2 bands and just bring them up a pin. On the other side, I have to pick up all 4 bands, bring them up, and then grab the top 2, bring them back down. And on this one down here, I have to pick up all 4 again, bring them down, and then bring the top 2 back. So now we are on 8 pins, 2 bands on each pin. And we're going to again do 2 rows all the way around with 2 bands. Pretty sure I've only had like a total of maybe 10 hours of sleep in the last 3 days. And depending how long it takes me to do the things this evening. So our first row, we'll be flipping over 2 bands. I might not be going to bed tonight. It's a crazy world you live in when you're doing that stuff. So I apologize if I say things that are goofy. I mean, it's entertaining, so I guess it can't be too bad. So like that. And we'll do our second row all the way around. 2 bands still. Like that. So hubby got called away to a business trip in Philadelphia, and he's not been having a very good trip so far. He took my suitcase, which I kind of wondered about because my suitcase is purple, but he likes my suitcase better than his suitcase because I have 4 wheels on the bottom of mine, so I can just kind of push it along as I'm rolling it around through the airports and stuff. It's a little easier, whereas his only has 2 wheels and is blue. And so I just thought, I'll take yours, it'll be easier. And I'm like, are you sure it's a purple suitcase? I mean, it's not like, it's kind of a dark purple. So that's our second row all the way around. We're going to increase again. So what we're going to do is on this lower pin right here, I'm going to take all 4 bands, pull them down a pin. And then for the next ones up, I'm going to pull all those down a pin. And then I'm going to grab 2 bands from the ones I just moved that are on the top and pull them back up to the pin that they were on. And we'll leave the next ones alone. Then the ones up at the very top here, I'm going to grab the top 2 bands and pull them up to the end. Then over on the other side, I'll grab the top 4 bands from the top pin, pull them up a pin. Then the next 4 down, I'll pull those up a pin. Then grab the top 2 from the ones we just moved, pull them back down to the empty pin. Well, not empty, but we're ignoring the brim. And then we'll skip that pin. Then on this last one here, I'll pick up all 4, bring them down, and then bring the top 2 back. So now we should be on the same number of pins as our brim. And we're going to do 2 rows all the way around again. But he apparently, as he was getting off the airport and picking up his baggage, he was asked by I guess somebody, I think, who was just picking up their own luggage. Nobody, not like airport security or anything. But I guess he was kind of told, like, that's not your suitcase. Why are you taking that suitcase? And so my husband's like, no, it's my suitcase. He's like, I don't think it's your suitcase. He's like, can you prove it's your suitcase? My husband's like, yeah, I can prove it's my suitcase. He's like, well, I don't think you'd have a suitcase like that. So apparently he ended up pulling out his wallet and showing the guy his ID so that he could walk off with his own suitcase. It's like, well, so that's our first row on. Some of them you'll be flipping 4 underneath, and then when we did our increasing, there'll just be 2 bands to flip. I said I'm sure it was really annoying, but at the same time I'm kind of glad that somebody would do that, because I mean, maybe it wasn't, and it, you know, it is a little different. If I saw some guy picking up a Minnie Mouse suitcase or something, I'd probably be like, that's kind of weird. I mean, I'd probably, depending on how inquisitive I was that day, I'd probably just assume it was his kid's suitcase, but if he didn't have any kids with him, I'd kind of be like, that's kind of odd. But it's kind of nice, but he was mad about that, or frustrated that he had to prove that it was his suitcase because it was the wrong color, and then of course I went all into the stereotypes and gender biases, and I was like, okay, well, you'll be alright. So that's our first row. We'll do a second row all the way around. So then after that, he got to his hotel, and he didn't get in until midnight, and he had called the hotel that morning and told them he was going to be late getting in, and that you know, he'd be there for sure, and his room's reserved. Got to the hotel, they gave away his room. So he didn't have a room, and so the hotel had to find him another hotel to book him at. So he was not very happy about that. So like that. Now you flip the bottom 4 all the way around. I think it's just because they said they'd have a room for him the next day, and so he had to, I think he was just kind of bummed that he had to like unpack twice and couldn't get settled in completely, and had to move around all his stuff the next day. And it's like, yeah, I guess I can, that would bother me too, I guess. I like to get someplace and then get settled. If you're going to be there for several days, it's nice to just get settled that first day. But then he gets into the hotel, other hotel, which is apparently next door, or fairly close. Gets into his room, and he's just like, I'm going to unpack all my stuff and get settled down. And he goes apparently to shut the window, the curtains on the window, and he said he just touched it, and the whole curtain thing fell down. And I'm like, did you check for bugs in that room? Or he's like, this is the worst trip ever so far. Like, well, you made it there, so I guess it's not too horrible a trip. So we have our second row all the way around. So now we're ready to pull up the brim on our hat. So this is just taking those 2 bands. I like to take my hook, go in through the inside, then you just kind of pull your hook away and bring it up over the top. So in through, pull it away, and up over the top of the pin. You can just kind of pull it out as well and just flip it up over. Up over. Can't see. There we go. Alright, so you just want to tug all the way around, make sure that all the brim is pulled up towards the center. push everything down. So all the way around you should still have 4 bands on every pin, and if you don't, like this one has another one, you can still flip them over if you need to. So you have the 4 bands on every pin. And now what we're going to do is puff our hat as we transition down into the face. So we're going to have orange, or your hair color, along the left side, and along the front side is going to be the face color. Kitty cat messed up all my bands over here. So to puff them, it is taking 2 bands, putting your hook through the bands that are on the pin already, pulling up those 2 bands through them, putting both ends on your hook, taking the bands off the pin, and then the ones that are on your hook are going to go back onto the pin. So hair color along the left side, that, and face color along the right side. Oh, I forgot. He started out his trip. He went to, he flew out of Minneapolis and took our car to park in the long-term parking. Whenever he goes on business trips, he has a business credit card that the company supplies for him. And he went to pay for the long-term parking for the car, and the card reader on the parking meter chewed up the company credit card, took a big gouge out of the magnetic strip. So that was a start to his business trip. So he was not very thrilled about that, and I'm not thrilled about it either, because then it means that he gets to charge everything to us, and then we have to wait for the company to reimburse us, which I'm not worried about them reimbursing us, but it's really annoying to have all that extra stuff, because, you know, they're eating out every day, and there's business dinners, and it's like, ugh, why'd you have to do that? So there, face color on the right side, hair color on the left side. So now you're going to want those ears for this first row. And I'm going to start right here. And so I have my first ear. I have the little, I hold it like this. I have the transition band for the hair color on the left side, the green color for the face on the right. The little pointy cap band is up top. So I'm just going to take this and put it on right here. So if you have, like, if you have your other ear and they're both the same way, or they're, like, I think I did actually do this one backward. No, I didn't. No, we're good. But if you need to, you can just grab the band and just pull it through and slide it to adjust it if it's not the colors in the right spot. But you just want the transition band to be centered, so you have orange on one side or hair on one side, face on the other, and then the ear kind of centers over where it connects, like that. So then up the front side here, just face color. Then we have our other ear on the other end. So just kind of think about it as you put it on. You have this part kind of showing up. Face on one side, hair towards the other side, like that. And then what we want to do is you want your hair. So I'm just going to leave it on this hook, but it's the same thing as basically a rainbow loom hook. So what you want to do first is we're going to add hair to the ear bands that we have on here. So where we have those two orange bands, I'm just going to lift them up with my hook, slide down some hair, and then put the bands back on. Do the same thing on the other side. Like that. And now, all of the bands that we put along the back side, we need to add a hairband to. So it's two bands, pull through a hairband so it's centered on there, and then put it on your loom. And these are where I actually added two of the hairbands before, and she had this huge wild thing of hair. It was awesome. I'd show it to you, but like I said, this week's been super busy for me, so I kind of cheated and removed some of her hair to make a new one that looked better instead of remaking the whole thing. So like that. We have our hair on, we have our ears on. So now what I like to do, so you have this point on our hat. I'm going to grab all this hair, pull it up towards the center. You kind of pull tight and stretch it. Then I'm just going to take a band and using that center from her hat, wrap it around like a little ponytail. So it's up out of the way. Like that. And then we can go around and flip the bottom four all the way around. Like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start bringing in the hairline. So these two outside pins here that have the orange on them, we're going to make those now green. So we're going to puff out those two pins. So your face color, and pull them up through on your corners on the hair side. And one here. Like that. So then what we're going to do is put on the other half of our ears, and then we have, this will also be our eye row, and more hair of course too. So ears, you just want to make sure that you can see the little braid part right here. Go ahead and pull those bands that are pulled through and put them on the pin. Like that. And I'm just going to put both ears on first. Then up the front, we'll do our eyes. So there'll be two bands. And then we'll have an eye. And with the big 9mm beads, you can just push the bands through, usually. So eye. and then 2 bands, and then another eye, and 2 bands, like that. So face side's done. So I'm going to turn this so we have the hair side. And for this, there's going to be transition bands right here on each end. It's going to be orange in the middle. And there are hair bands that go on our transition bands. So what we can do is just take one of our hair bands, take the end of it, and we'll put it on this pin right here. Then make our transition band so that our green goes towards the outside. And then you can just pull the hairband over like that. And then our middle ones here, it's 2 bands with some hair. Like that. And then again, I'm just going to take one of the hair bands, put it onto the pin, make my transition band, face bands towards the outside, hair bands towards the inside, and then flip over the hair like that. And once again, I'm going to take all the hair, pull it up, just pull it up towards what you've already looped, grab another band, and just tie it up in there. So then you can go ahead and flip the bottom 4 all the way around. Like that. Push everything down. Now we're going to again puff out the next 2 closest ones, or next outside ones, with the face color. So again, pull up your 2 bands. Like that. And this is going to be our cheek and our nose row, so you'll want those. So 2 bands across the bottom, and then 2 bands, and then a cheek, and then her nose. And another cheek. And 2 bands. 2 more bands. I'm going to turn it so I can do this back side here. So it's 2 bands, green face color, Then the next spot is a transition spot. So again, you want to take two bands that are the color of the hair, or take the hair bands, put those on, and then make your transition band. The green towards the outside, and then pull over your hairband. And the next spot is two bands with your hair. And again, take the hairband, put it on. Then you want a transition band here. Slide over your hair. And then two more green bands to end out the row. Like that. And again, we'll pull up the last of our hair here, tie it up. And then you can go ahead and flip the bottom four all the way around. Like that. So now I'm going to unstick some of her. Pull up the hat a little bit. Not too much yet. So now we want to put on the mouth, which is a black band or whatever color you want the mouth to be. Put on your hook, wrap it around into a figure 8, and you'll grab both bands, hold them in your hand, come down to your face, put your hook through the bands by the left eye, hook your two bands, or one band that looks like two now, pull them up through and up over the top of the pin, and then you'll slide it down and you'll be wrapped around the pin. Then go into the bands by the other eye. Again, hook that mouth band, pull them up through, bring it up over the top of the pin again, and then when you pull it down, you're going to be wrapped around two pins, and then you slide it up over the top of both of them. And it'll probably look like it'll trap her nose in her mouth, but it doesn't. It comes out the right way. So like that. Probably they're black in the way, but. So now we want to come back to the back side. We are done with the hair, so we want to puff out the remaining hair color with our face body color. So pull up those two bands for those two last remaining hair pins. And I knew that my loom felt funny. I have not had much good luck. I snapped it again. Hope it stays. It did feel a little bit squishier than normal. And then go pull up the other ones. Like that. tied. Just reattaching it to the top of the hat so it's not falling over as much. So now everything is the face color or body color. And we're going to do a row all the way around in the green color or face color. If I keep breaking all my pin bars, I might have to actually buy more looms. It's my own fault, but not. I do a lot of looming. That's what I show for you guys for the video tutorials. Usually take that times like 3 or 4. How many times I make each design. It's like that, roll all the way around, flip the bottom 4. You want to tuck in your ends. Push everything down. Now what we want to do is reduce our pins that we have. So starting down here on this lower right one, I'm going to grab the top 2 bands, and as I lift them up, they're coming from the pin above, so I'm actually going to take them to the opposite pin, which is on the other side. Bring those over there, then grab the other 2, bring those up. Then I move to the next pin up, lift up the top 2 bands, they're coming from above, so they'll go below. Other 2 will go above. Next one up, top 2 are coming from above, so they'll go below. Other 2 will go above. And on the other side, on the top 2 bands are coming from below, so they're going to come over to the other side. Other 2 will come down a pin. I'm sorry, all our hair's in the way here. Next pin down. They're coming from below, so they're going to go above. Next 2 go down. And then this last pin here that we haven't done anything to. Top 2. Coming from below, so they'll go above, and then the other 2 will come down. So now you should be on 6 pins with 8 bands on each pin. You want to push those down. Should we take bets if my loom will not fall apart before I'm done with this? So we're going to do a row all the way around, 2 bands. It's kind of long stretches. Like that. Then you go ahead and flip over the bottom 8 bands on all your pins over the top. Pretty positive that my broken loom comes from the fact that I don't use the middle base plate when I loom. I got used to doing that because it just seemed like it was too big and bulky and it was in the way, and if I used bands that were like similar in color, and you couldn't see them as well in tutorials, and so I just stopped using it. And so that puts more pressure on the loom. So like that. So now we want to move everything closer together. So I'm just going to move them so that they're 3 on each side right next to each other. So I'll just bring these 2 down, pick up all 4, bring them down. These ones way up here, bring those down. On the back side, we want to have them across from each other. So these 2 down here will move up a pin, and the 2 up here will move what's down a pin. Like that. And you can kind of unstick it from any more pins that you need to on the ends and things. Push everything down. Adorable. Okay, I just realized that it kind of looks like Beast Boy. If you don't know who that is, that's okay. But kind of, yeah. But now we're going to be doing another row after we've reduced the middle of this. So we're going to take the top 2 bands from the middle pin. If you lift them up and kind of see where they're coming from, mine are coming from above, so I'm going to take them below, and then the other 2 will go above. Then we'll go to the back side and do the same thing. 2 bands are coming from below, so they're going to go above, and the other 2 will go below. Push those down, and we're going to do another row all the way around. So we're on 4 pins now. I know our hat's in the way. So 2 bands. It's the color change that made me think of that. And plus we were watching it today with the kiddos. Like that. So then you'll flip the bottom 6 bands all the way around. Like that. So we want to move this closer. So you just want to kind of make sure you stay kind of centered on the loom. So if you're like way one way or the other, just kind of move it whichever way you need to kind of be more in the center. And I'm just going to move mine down, I think. So you just want to move them right next to each other. Push that down, and that's your head. Ooh, finally. That only took an hour, or more actually. I had to pause a few times in there for some good old coughing. So what we want to do is we need to make her a little collar for her, basically to keep her neck and body together. So we're done with the green, or the face color for now. So make her a little collar. It's X row around the 4 pins. So 2 bands, put them on and then cross them. And you'll do that all the way around. And push that down. And then you want to do another row all the way around with 2 bands just normally. Right on top of what we have on there. Like that. And then you want to go around and flip the bottom 4 bands of the X row. Or so the X row that we put on, you want to flip that one up over the top. It's the middle 4 bands, the bottom face bands. So like that. Now what we need to do is bring up our bottom face bands through our little X row collar that we did. So I'm just going to go through the collar bands, grab the face colored bands, pull them up through, then the collar bands come off the pin, and then the face bands will just go back onto the pin. And we'll do that all the way around. Like that. And now what we want to do is puff out the face bands that we have on here with the black color. So take your 2 bands, just pull them up through the face color. Take the face color off the pin and then put the black back on. Alright, so like this. Now we need to make our arms. This was a 2-page design, so we're going to be working on 6 pins first for the arm. She's got a little cuff on there that's kind of extra, and then it kind of works up into the arm. So this is single banded, this part. But you're just going to do a hexagon in an X row. Like that. And you need to repeat it up here on the other side too. Because she's got 2 arms. Like that, 1 on each side. Then we're going to do a row around, single band still. Like that. Same thing on the other side. Like that. Then we are going to flip our bands over, and they are going to be from the inside to the outside. Like that. And down here. down. Now we're going to do another row all the way around, just like we just did, single banded. Same thing up here. I'm going to go ahead and flip the bottom 2 bands all the way around. Push down, other side. Push down. So now we're going to combine these together, basically reducing. So we're going to start with this one right here. I'm going to pick them up, flip them up over the top of the pin, and then bring it over to the right. Like that. And then up here on this next pin up, I'm going to pick those up, bring that up over the top of the pin, bring it up towards the top center, and then again pick up these ones, flip over the stuff, and then bring the 2 bands back. So now we're in a little triangle. Then I'm going to go up to the other end, and on this side we're going to pick up these 2 bands right here, pull up all the stuff, and they'll go up. This one right here, pick up those bands, and I'll go over to the left, and then again right here, pick up those 2, slide it up over the top and towards center. So now we have little triangles on each end. So now we want our hands. And the hands are, there's 6 bands that are pulled through. So basically our hand is our center cat band. So if I just take 2 bands from each side, like that, on my hand, I'm going to take those, just put them on a pin. Then I'll grab another 2 bands from each side, and pull those up to another pin. And then find the last 4 bands. And pull those over to the other pin. Now this is just kind of a temporary type thing, because if you'll notice, my hand is kind of all smushed over to one side, and we don't want that. So what I might have to do is move where some of the bands are placed. So I kind of want the hand to stand more like this, and you'll notice when you're doing it, if like your hand seems really crooked over to one side, just readjust some of the bands. So I picked up 2 off this pin, I'm going to move them, put them on the other side. And it's just kind of a adjust as you need to. And you'll be able to tell when it's in the right position. That's pretty good. So it should look like this. Put up pretty well, almost straight, as much as you can get it that way. You have to do that with both sides. And if it's easier, just take 6 bands on one side, 6 bands on the other side, and then just start pulling the bands this way. I think either you get lucky or you don't with how it works well. Like, that's not too bad this time, and that was a lot quicker. I did do that before and it did not work well, so that's why I didn't suggest it this time. So once you have that, you're going to flip the cuff over, and the cuff is going to be 4 bands that need to go up over the top. So right there, and right there. Like that. So you should still have 4 bands on 3 pins when you're done doing that. Like that. And it looks like I might have a goofy band. No, we're alright. So it should look like this now. Then what we're going to do is 3 rows all the way around each side of our arms. It's 2 bands. So I'm going to do it on both sides. And then flip. So like that. Flip the bottom 4. One row, push down, second row, flip the bottom 4, push down, and then our third row. Flip the bottom 4. Like that. So there's our 3 rows. So now what we want to do is we're going to increase our head area, and we're going to do that by, on this bottom here, grabbing the top 2 bands that are on the left side and bringing them over to the center pin. And then on the other side, we'll grab the top 2 bands that are on the right pin and bring those towards the center. Push those all down. And now we're going to move the arms up into position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bands that are on this pin right here, and I'm going to stretch them and just pull them up so they're stretched like that. We want it to be that way because we need to get in to be able to do a flipping of this band, and this is the easiest way. So stretch those way up, and then on the right side I'm going to take them up, and they're going to stretch over on top of the bands right there. And then on the other side they're going to do the same thing and be on the left side like that. And the whole arm is kind of stuck behind this pin right now. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to grab these middle ones, stretch them up to the center. And then on the right, grab these, unstick them from the pin in the center, pull them up towards the left, and then do the same thing on the right. And you want it to stay around the back of the pin, this way, so I can hold the hand better. Like that. Like that. Oops, that was right. Push everything down. And now we're going to do a row around. So it's 2 bands, and we're just going to go around our center hexagon that we have. That. So now when we flip, I'm going to start with the center ones first. So up here, if I go in through where the arm, or we stretch that arm, grab those bottom 2 bands, because we did that increase, so there's only 2 bands, pull them up through and over the center, and then push that down. And on the sides here, I can flip over the arm bands and flip over the bottom 4. On the other side, it'll be the arm bands, and then the bottom 2. So that side's good. Other side, same thing, start with the center, grab those 2 bands, pull them up over the top, and then on the side, do the arm bands, and then the bottom 2 over here. And the other side, arm bands, and then the bottom 4. Now, what we can do, push everything down, and our arm, I can lift it up, and it should just slide over the top of the pin, so it looks like that. So when you push it down, the arm will be kind of like, hey, what's up, how's it going? And it'll be up above the pin. Do the same thing on the other side. Just kind of keep it taut until you pull it up over, and then you can let it go. So now we're just on 6 pins, arms are on. Pull down. Now we're going to do 3 rows all the way around with 2 bands. Like that. Flip the bottom 4. Pretty sure this is my longest tutorial ever. Push down. That's 1 row. Do 2nd row. Flip the bottom 4. Push down. And 3rd row. Flip the bottom 4. Push everything down. And now we're going to do a little kind of X row again for her little belt. So I'm going to make mine purple again. It's the same thing that we did at the neck, just that we're on 6 pins now, so it's 2 bands. This is the belt on her. You'll put them on and do an X all the way around, across them. Push all that down. And we'll do a row right on top, 2 bands. that. And you can go ahead and flip that, the middle 4 bands or the X row from the purple. Like that. Then you go around on every pin. Stick your hook through the belt bands or the purple bands. Grab those bottom black bands. Pull them up through. Slide off the purple bands or the belt bands. And then put the other bands that are on your hook back onto the pin. And you do that all the way around. Like that. So now the belt is trapped around the black bands. Now we're moving on to her skirt. And how we do that is we're going to come and go 1, 2, and right across here we're going to do an X, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have 2 before and 2 after, and then just complete the rectangle. These are single banded. So X row, and then we want to do a regular row right on top. Like that. So now we want to flip from the inside to the outside like we've done before. Just make sure to ignore those 2 bands that are right here in the center pins. Just ignore those bottom 4 bands. Just go around and flip the bottom 2. For this one, just make sure you push back that top band, and then you'll be able to grab those bottom bands pretty easily. And just make sure that you grab the right bands. Once you do the first row, it gets a little easier on those side ones. And then push that down. going to do 3 rows all the way around our 6 pins for the skirt part. So again, these are all single banded. This will be our first row. Like that. And from the inside to the outside again, the bottom 2. Oh, it's a good thing we're almost done. I'm starting to get a little, I can feel the coughing fit starting to come on now much more frequently. Unfortunately, whoever got me sick stinks, because now all my kids and my husband, before he left on his trip, were starting to feel varying degrees of crud. No fun. So like that. Push down. Do our second row all the way around. Again, flip from the inside to the outside, bottom 2. Push everything down. And our third row all the way around. Same as before. If anybody's wondering, the green in the original witch's face is the olive green, and this one is neon green. Just thought I'd try something a little brighter and see how it looked. And the hair and the original one is just orange, and then this one's neon orange. Alright, so let's make sure, go around, that you haven't connected anything, because you want to fix that now. So what we're going to do is reduce the skirt so it's closer to the size that we need it now. So what I'm going to do, is, again, starting down here on this lower corner. I'm going to pick up the top 2 bands, kind of slide some of this over, and then bring them up and put the bands on the pin up above. Then right here, pick up the top 2, bring them up. Next one up, I'm going to go to the corner. Then around the side here, top corner, I'm going to lift them up, slide them over, and then they'll go down a pin, the top bands. And again, next one down, grab the top 2, bring them down, and then again. So now her skirt is on 6 pins. And we're going to do 2 rows all the way around. Single banded still. Long stretches. Like that. So when we flip, you're still flipping towards the outside, and this first time that we flip, there's going to be 4 bands that have to go over the top. And just take your time. And just make sure you didn't connect anything you're not supposed to. Then we'll do our second row all the way around. Try to push these down. We're just going to leave it where it is, do long stretches. Like that. And this time it's the bottom 2. Again, make sure you're not connected anywhere. So now what we need to do is we need to get what we just made for the skirt part underneath our 6 pins around. Seems more complicated than it really is, but if you just follow what I'm doing, then we should be fine. So what I'm going to do first is I just kind of figure out which ones are going to go where. 3 on this side, right here, these 3 pins. So I have my skirt on this pin, this one, and this one. So if I figure this pin right here is going to match up to here, this one right here is going to go to the center, and then this one right here will just go right back where it was. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to pick up the 2 bands that are part of the skirt on the left pin here, and just bring them down a pin to the empty one. Then I'll grab the 4 bands that are on the pin that are already part of the figure, just going to pull them down, place them right there, then grab these two bands that I moved from the skirt, put them back onto the pin, and then I'll move the figure bands back right on top. Make sure you get all of the bands back on. So now I have the skirt bands underneath the figure bands on this corner. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'm just going to pick up the figure bands, move them down out of the way, and I'll pick up the other corner over here, the two bands from the skirt, move them up, and then I'll put the figure bands back on top where they were. And I'm going to slide these bands over as well. So kind of more, not quite stretched so much. So we have this last one right here. I'm going to pick up these four bands in the center, lift them up, move them over to this pin, and then I'm going to grab the corner one here, lift it up, bring it up over the top of the pins, making sure to hang on up here, get it onto that center pin, and then move my four bands back on top. And then this can all be kind of positioned around the outside. So now on this side, the skirt bands, the two bands for the skirt are all on the bottom of these three pins, and on top are the four bands from the figure. And we have to do the same thing on the other side. And this side's a little bit harder just because of the way that the pins are faced the opposite direction, but it's the same thing basically. I'm going to start over here first, pick up the top two bands from the skirt, move them down a pin, pick up the four bands from the figure, move them out of the way, bring the two bands back from the skirt, push them down, and then bring the four bands back. And we'll do the other side over here, pick up the four bands from the figure, move them out of the way, move the skirt bands, then move the four bands back, and then again at the center, I'm going to first move this over and in between the pins here, grab the center bands, lift those up, pull them over here, grab the two bands from the corner, slide up some of this stuff, put the two bands on the pin in the center from the skirt, and then put back my four bands from my figure. Like that. And again, get the skirt kind of in the same position as the other side. So like that. So what we need to do is like what we did for the cuffs kind of, or the brim, is just grabbing, I'm just going to grab it and pull the two bands up over the top of the pin towards the figure. Do sides first, and the center. Push everything down. So the skirt should look like that around. Then we're going to do a row all the way around in the black two bands. like that. Then you'll flip the bottom 4. Now we're going to start doing the leg portion, her kind of tights. So you'll want, get that out of my way, whatever color you're going to use for the tights. Oh, kitty, kitty, you messed my stuff all up. And if you pull this up, now we're going to start dividing the 6 pins in half. So these 3 pins on the right side will be the one leg, and then you'll have 3 pins on the other side for the other leg. So what we're going to do is pick a color, whatever color you want first. I'll do some orange. It's 2 bands. You're going to take your hook and stick it down through the center underneath on one side. If you stick it through with the hook facing up, like that, you can hook 2 bands. If I can get them in my hand. Hook 2 bands on the hook, pull them through, and I usually kind of slide one end on the pins on this side, and finish pulling it through the other side, and pull the bands up onto the pins over here with my hook. And then I do the same thing for the other kind of half of the 3 pins. Hook facing up. Get the bands hooked on there. Am I facing up? That's a good question. I was stuck on something. Pull them through. So now I have the legs divided in half, and it's hard to see because there's a base plate in the way. But if you look underneath, you can see that the bands go through the center there. And then what you want to do is take same color and just close off your little triangles for your legs. So that's one side, and then do the other one. And then we just go around and flip the bottom 4. In this case, it's the black. And must have missed a pin on my row. It's probably because I needed to cough really bad, so I had to hurry through and pause and come back and pretend that I didn't. Alright. I'm going to push that down. So that's one row. Now we'll do another row in a different color. Same thing. Take your hook, put it through the center. If you do it up, works better. Hook your bands, slide it onto a pin on one side, and finish pulling it through. Hook them over, and go to the other side. Try not to hook everything else while you're under there. So those are pulled through. Complete the legs, the triangles on the outside. Like that. And then you'll flip the 4 bands below. Now we're going to do another row, or another 2 rows alternating the colors. So we just did the greens, now we'll go back, I'm going to do the orange again. But I can't chop her head off so it's not in the way so much while I'm doing the lower portions. The bands are pulled through, close off the outsides. Then you'll flip the bottom 4. Push everything down. And if you pull up our legs, then you can get a little more room in there to do the last row. So complete the row. Flip the bottom 4. Push everything down. And now we need to do 2 rows of black, just like we have been doing. And then we will be done with the feet. So a row all the way around in black. Or the shoe, I guess, whatever you want the shoe to be. flip the bottom 4. Oops. Sorry, lady. Push it down, and one more row of black. Around each leg. That. Flip the bottom 4. Alright, push everything down. Now, starting right here, I'm going to put my hook in through the bands. Go all the way around the 1 foot, and then pull 2 bands through. Everything on my hook, both ends on, make the slip knot. I'm not going to worry about making it tight or nice right now. Then I'll go to the other side, start here, go around the other 3. 2 bands through, both ends on, slip knot. Now, before I close this off or pull too tightly, I'm going to smush the bottom so it's flat, then pull tight. Then we'll hide the tail in the leg. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Smush it flat, then pull tight, and then hide the tail. Like that. Got 2 little legs. And you can take her skirt, flip it down. You may have to kind of ruffle out the little edges to get it to sit right. And then for the arms, they're going to kind of be like poked out like they're going to put a magic spell on you. So you'll have to take your hook and just adjust some of the bands so that they can be kind of pointed down or down more at the side or however you want them to look. You just kind of grab some bands and start adjusting them. You guys know what this is all about, so just finding the right ones to adjust. You may have to kind of close up the connection between the head and the body. The collar should avoid any like big annoying sections, but you may have to go back in there and adjust it a little bit. And that's just the same as when we do the transition bands or the puffing in other designs, because we do a little stretching there. We have to adjust for that. Like that. Pull her hair down. Then the brim of her hat, may have to adjust that a little bit by just kind of feeling around the outside. Oh yeah, I want to poke her nose back out too. With a smile. But adjust everything. Like I said, you might have to kind of pull some bands around to get the positioning right around the neck and around the tops of the shoulders, or to move the positions of the arms. It's just adjusting those. So she's super adorable. So cute. I think she's cute. She's definitely not a scary one, that's for sure. I have some more adjusting to do, but for those of you interested, the broom was just a doubled cap band with the bands my cat knocked away. It's 2 bands. I just doubled them, and then I pulled through another 14 2 bands that have been doubled. I just went and did that. I'm gonna make a whisk broom to show you how. I just kept doubling the bands until I pulled through another 14 of them. And then once I got it long enough, I took a different color and I made a bunch of little slip knotted bands. You just put them on your hook and you kind of wrap it around your hook, grab a band, pull it through. You're basically making a bunch of lark's heads knots. You pull it through, and then you take your hook and you grab the one closest to the hook end and pull it through the other side. So it makes a little knot in your band. And there's other ways to do that, but I did that. Made a bunch of little lark's head knots, I guess. And you can make tons of different ways. I know there's probably tutorials for other little brooms out there too, so I just made a bunch of them, probably 15 or 16 of them. And then once I got enough, I just took another band that was the same color as the broom whiskers, pulled it through everything on my hook, put both ends on, made the slip knot, and then I took my tail band that I pulled through everything and I wrapped it around the end of the broom a few times just to secure it. This is like a little mini broom. So secure the tail band, and then I wrapped around a couple more bands just to give it a little bit thicker kind of connection between the broom. And then once I had all of that wrapped around, you don't have to, but you can go around and just trim the bands and give it little whiskers. So that's like a little mini broom version of this. But that's the principle of how it's made anyways. So like I said, mine was doubled cap band, and then 14 more bands. Then I made a bunch of little slip knot bands, pulled through a band through everything, tied it around the bottom, added a couple more just to make it a little thicker, and then I have a broom. So I appreciate all of you who stuck around to watch this entire tutorial or to make this awesome witch, because this is going to be, like I said, probably my longest video ever for a creation that I've made, and a lot of work goes into these, so I definitely appreciate it when you guys take the time to watch them and share them with everybody. So definitely, if you made it this far, give this video a thumbs up, if not for the work that I put into making this, but to the work that you guys put into making this all the way to the end. I definitely appreciate it. You definitely have to share these with me on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic. There's links beneath the video. And then, of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you know when I come out with new things. It's always kind of a very cool thing to see the numbers go up, and, you know, it's, I don't know, it's awesome. I'm so appreciative and thankful for all of that, so thank you guys. I will definitely have more things for you soon. Happy looming and happy Halloween.